Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. On today's episode, we're covering part 3 of 3 on Ted Bundy.
Oh, finally. Let's put this one to bed for this charismatic killer.
Yeah, put this one to Bundy. I try to throw that in. It doesn't
Try
work.
to rhyme it.
Yes, part 3 of 9.
Yeah. But we hope you enjoy this. Speaking of which, if you're enjoying the podcast, hit that 5-star rating on Spotify. On Apple, you can leave a 5-star review as well as a written review and really help us out. Sit back, relax, and enjoy part 3 of Ted Bundy.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor.
History.
And copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
Hey, this is Dave,
Matt.
And Zap.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
where every week we cover a true crime.
Murder.
Or compelling story.
So sit back.
Relax.
And comprehend.
Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Old Dirty Basement. I am Matt. With me always is Dave and Zap. Good afternoon, evening, morning, gentlemen. How are you?
What's going on?
How are ya?
Great. I'm great.
That's good.
It's a lovely fall, late afternoon.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with the leaf.
Gets dark quick.
I'm done with the leaf.
Yeah. Can't believe it's November already. It's crazy.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Man,
me
the
too.
days only get better between here and the winter solstice.
Mm-hmm. Already Christmas commercials and stuff.
The lesser daylight we get, the happier I am.
I know. I like it dark.
Hell yeah.
It's so much nicer. Like the sun, especially driving home, like on the sun's all in your eyes. You like can't see.
It's the blurst.
Yeah.
And we got that extra hour this weekend.
Oh, that was glorious.
Yeah.
That was absolutely glorious. Despite waking up at like 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Now I have all this extra time in the day. Nope, I just rolled on over.
Yeah.
I think I woke up at like 3:30 this morning. Well, actually would have been 3:30.
Right.
But it was 4:30 and I'm still early, but I'll get up.
Yep.
I had the luxury of being off today, so I had a day to adjust here. Got to stay up and watch football late, and it was a good night, and was able to sleep in a little bit. So anyway,
Nice.
we're back in today with part 3 of Ted Bundy.
Part
I see.
3.
Yeah.
Part 3 of 17, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll see. We're on part
There's
3.
a lot on this guy.
Hopefully the final, but I anticipate being the final.
Yeah.
So what did we do so far? Well, so far in episode 1, we covered his early life, his formative years, his college years, his professional life, the entree into his criminal life with assault and 8 murders, his move to Utah, and lo and behold, bodies that were discovered at Lake Sammamish State Park. If you haven't listened already, you're listening out of order.
Yes.
So
Go back.
Go back. Listen to part 1.
Go back there.
He's got a
Yeah,
lengthy record.
There's a lot. Like that pretty much that's pretty much it. Like his life in an eggshell. Is that what they call it? An eggshell?
Nutshell?
Nutshell.
Yeah,
I think an
nutshell.
eggshell would be more roomy. Because
But far more fragile.
Fragile.
Oh,
yeah.
true.
Like-
a nutshell would be more
Like the delicate of Ted Bundy. He's
Yeah.
a fragile man.
Yeah.
he is. He's a tender little guy.
Tender. Well, so were his victims. So in part 2, we covered how his murders continued. He relocated to Utah to further his legal studies. While there, he kept on killing. Now the police were after him. The police knew who they had a suspect for damn sure. And despite all signs pointing to Ted, they just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's just hard to believe. This killer named Ted who looks like him in these sketches and everything else. Nobody can believe it.
Nobody
They
can
even joke about it.
Yeah, can't be that guy.
Yeah.
He's too nice looking.
But was it always that guy?
Right.
Oh,
That's another part of the story.
who's to say? Who's to say?
We can't. Well, some of them, they are. They are his murders, but there's a lot that just crazy ones that just pop up, and they're like, he did it.
No, for sure. So while he had then from Utah, he moved on to Colorado to continue his killing spree. But in the meantime, some skulls and jaws of 4 of his victims were found in the woods of Taylor Martin, Washington.
Real quick, in the meantime, who was that?
Space Hog.
Space Hog is correct.
Yeah.
No. It was, Space Hog was
Yeah,
yes.
the
In the
song.
meantime, was one of their songs.
Mm-hmm.
But was that Ministry?
One more fix. That's the only Ministry.
Okay,
song.
that's the only Ministry one. I must have got it messed up with Space Hog.
Yeah, Space Hog was
My
in
bad.
the meantime. Yeah.
Oh. Well, despite whatever was found in Washington in the woods, he kept on killing. Colorado, Idaho, Utah, just kept it moving along. We discovered that it was consistent over and over and over and over again. He found his victims by playing lame. I got a broken arm. I got a busted, kneecap. Something. Can you help me get something into or out of my car?
I got a yacht on the top of my car.
Yeah,
Please help me get it down from there.
That's right.
Catamaran. Yeah.
Catamaran.
Which we did discover. Catamarans come in all shapes and sizes.
They do, yeah.
They don't necessarily need to be the big ones with which Matt and I had previously been familiar.
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a Porsche, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
What is score?
Like a catamaran. I thought it was a model of Porsche.
The Porsche Catamaran.
That's what the guy had on 90210, right?
Yeah, he had a Porsche catamaran.
Catamaran.
I thought
Little two-door one.
Dylan, I thought it was an MG, but nope, it was a Porsche.
Actually,
Was
I
it
think
Volkswagen?
it was a Volkswagen.
Carmen Gia?
I think, did this come up?
It did come up, and
Yeah.
At some point.
I was wrong. So now we're all over the place.
We're
with
all
this
over the
again.
place, yeah.
Well, in the meantime, not to be confused with the song of the
Not
same
the
name,
Ministry. It's
Right.
Space Hog.
not to be confused with Space Hog song. He ultimately did get arrested. He was creeping through a neighborhood, eyeballing his next victim. Sure enough, police saw him. We matched the description because for damn sure, by now, a lot of people knew what this cat looked like. And he fled from the police.
Dave would say, like, this guy wasn't a good driver for being like,
Oh, he
No.
was bad.
for being like he was like driving around, like drinking a beer, like trying to get some raisinets.
Right.
Stuff's falling all over his dashboard. Dude, like he just doesn't care. He's running stop signs.
He's probably like, I mean, we all know people like that are just bad drivers, can't drive stick. They're probably, the car's bucking, you know what I mean? You're just swerving. But I wanted to get back to that where you said he got caught peeking in. And that was kind of his MO, right?
Yeah.
Like to Peeping Tom and all that, like even as a teenager.
Oh my God.
He was George McFly in it for sure. He was absolutely George McFly.
McFly, yeah.
Sounds.
So you're talking about stuff rolling all over the dashboard and the seats and shit like that.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine is a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in his career, he may or may not have been into cocaine. So at one point,
He might have tried it once.
it's the summertime, right? And he's sitting there and he's waiting at a house. He's got, clients coming to do a walk through the house.
Right.
So it's the summertime, sitting in his car. He puts a couple of lines on his dashboard. He does one line and he's doing whatever. He's just waiting. He's waiting. It's the summertime. He's sitting in his car. It gets hot in there. So the dude turns on the fan. He turns on his air conditioner. Coke is blowing all over the place. Absolutely all over the place.
Like a snow globe.
Yeah, well, it's also blowing all over him. So he's got to get out of his car. He's just, I don't want to say covered in it. It's not like, he dove into a vat of flour, but I mean, it's still all over him. So he's just brushing himself up. And again, he's on the Coke now. So he's just like this little chipmunk out there moving like a mile a minute. Anyway, that's the first thing I thought of as soon as somebody said that shit was rolling around in their car, trying to avoid the police.
That sounds like some Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
This
seriously.
guy had way too much money.
For sure.
Because I would have been freaking out.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Like, no.
Imagine that guy showing the house. You're trying to keep up with him.
Precisely.
He's like upstairs.
Come on, follow me. We're
Wait,
gonna go upstairs. No,
geez,
wait,
we're
I
still
think
in the
we're
kitchen.
gonna-
I mean, geez.
Check this out. We got to watch. We got a jar.
Like, dude, I just finished the tour 2 minutes ago.
Right.
We only got here 1 minute ago. So yeah, back to Ted Bundy. So he got caught. His girlfriend at the time had started diming him out, telling him this, that, and the other thing. I don't know why this guy keeps this, that, and the other thing in the house, like plaster of Paris, knives, cleavers, crutches, rubber gloves, shit that I don't need, and I don't know why he has it in the house. He ended up selling his car, which the cops had confiscated after the sale. Took that apart. They found hairs that matched like 3 of his victims. He was identified by this DeRanche woman from a lineup. The ranch chick was the one that got away.
Yes.
Ended up being found guilty. He was sentenced to state prison from 1 to 15 years for the
Sketch.
Yeah.
The actual sketch.
assault of DeRanche. He was only sentenced for the assault
Okay.
because nobody knows he was murdering anybody at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had confirmed that. So yeah, went to state prison 1 to 15 years. While in prison, that's when he was charged with the murder of Karen Campbell. So they had, again, enough on the assault from DeRanche, but while there, that's when he was first charged with murder. We even talked about how he kept Polaroids,
Yes.
not unlike Ted Bundy. I'm sorry,
Other murderers.
Dahmer.
Yeah, Jeff Dahmer.
And others. Because you do something right, you want to, keepsake.
Right.
Oh, and then at the end, he escaped.
I can't believe it. Yeah,
He jumped out of a window while defending himself. He acted as his own attorney, as his own counsel, jumped out of the window of the courthouse library.
What are the chances of a guy like that escaping?
For him, pretty good.
I just,
What do you mean by that?
I'm just thinking like the guy is like under suspicion of murder. And I get it's a different time back in the day, but are you that relaxed? I mean, weed wasn't legal back then in Colorado, right? Like, why are these people so relaxed that they're just, oh yeah, you go in the courtroom, do whatever you want, or they go, the court, where were they at? The court library or something like that?
Library. But what we said about this guy, I mean, he was a smart guy, and he also was defending himself, which we talked about, and him being able to, he's still free. He wasn't proven anything, so they had to give him his rights as a citizen to do his thing.
I get that. Like, I know back in the day we did that one on the Keller's massacre, and that guy had basically he was able to come and go as he pleased, but that was more about
Influence. That
and
was like
connection.
That was
and
almost
stuff
like,
that.
like mafia type influence.
You think just because of Bundy being so almost like they didn't even believe that somebody like that could do these
He was
things?
charismatic. He was a clean cut guy.
Clean cut guy. He didn't look opposing or anything like that. Like,
It's just hard to believe.
And P.S. He's an attorney. So again,
he's smart.
People will look at attorneys, even CPAs, doctors, like they're teachers, right? They look at them with a level of respect, like whatever this person says or does, because of their particular profession, they must be okay.
Right.
They're looked at as a professional.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. They're not going to harm anybody. He's not going to stab, the cop that's in charge of keeping an eye on him or anything like that.
So this cat jumped out of the window, ran up the mountain, stayed a night or two in a cabin or two, roamed around the mountain, ended up coming down the same mountain, made his way to a golf course, stole a car, got caught.
It's like Grand Theft Auto. This guy's playing,
It's
like a video game almost.
It's just like
It's crazy.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, now that he's back in jail, this guy ended up becoming somewhat of a celebrity. Actually, most believed he was innocent and was being set up. I mean, this is from television coverage. This is all kinds of stuff. This is, what do they call that nowadays? Like trial by
media?
Yeah, there it is. Trial by media or something like that. I mean, we see that shit all the time.
But
still.
they're saying this was the other way around where the media is saying, nah, this guy's innocent.
Correct.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Correct.
That's
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. They thought like there's some kind of conspiracy to bring this poor man down. Oh my goodness. It's just terrible. All right.
Well, especially because he had a girlfriend. He had a job. He was employed by the government or the state?
Yep.
A state
He
job.
had a state
He was
job.
involved in the church there in Utah.
Regular guy.
And he had a lot of their support. It's just hard to believe.
The church
I
don't
get
do
all
anything
that,
wrong.
and I get all that support and all that, but I would just think when you're in custody, you're in custody. Like, I know that maybe the feeling was that he was innocent, but it's just hard to believe that he was able to get away once, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Just once.
Oh, that sounds like an illusion. So as we talked about with this media stuff, so reporters are in there all the time, right? They're getting what happened today. It wasn't the OJ case where they had cameras going, but for damn sure they were keeping up with the story and all this stuff. And for sure, like pre-trial motions continued to go in his favor to the point where he actually stood a good chance of being acquitted after much of the evidence that was presented was actually deemed inadmissible. Like everything was looking rosy. Everything was coming up Bundy. Still, despite the fact that he could have won, everything was looking like he could have won and spent maybe a year or whatever in jail just for the assault. Nope, I don't want any part of that. This guy planned his second escape.
Oh,
Of course he did.
yeah.
I mean, if you're in prison, what do you want
What
to
else
do?
you have to do?
Hang around? Yeah. So this guy somehow, some way acquired a detailed floor plan of the jail. He got a hacksaw blade, which was given to him by a fellow inmate, and he ended up accumulating $500. $500 cash, which was later discovered. It was smuggled in over a 6-month period by his fiance, a former coworker from DES, Carol Ann Boone. The Department of Emergency Services met the state job. You said that was the Washington state job, DES.
That he had brought up. So she was bringing in money and drugs for him as well.
Sure.
Like marijuana and who knows what else. She would bring it in vaginally, and then he'd take it back to the cell anally. That's where he would store it at. To get it back
Looky.
yeah, right. Who would want to smoke that shit? You know what I mean? After that, it's pretty nasty. It's been everywhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess I guess in this particular prison he was in, conjugal visits weren't allowed.
No, yeah.
But somehow, some way, like the other inmates, this guy was a smooth talker. He made friends with other prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
Smart dude.
Right.
No butt rapes for him.
Nope.
Well, the prisoners, he made friends with the guards.
Sure.
Yeah. Just talking to them guards. I'm sure like if a guy's nice to them, that they got to deal with assholes all day.
Sure.
Right.
You're like, hey man, how's your day today? They're probably like,
You get
it's all right, man.
an educated guy in there that can talk and hold a conversation. It's probably interesting. I'm sure he probably gave him legal advice, and who knows?
Could have been like an Andy Dufresne.
yeah, true.
So this guy, if I understand correctly, a conjugal visit. Look, you and I could visit each other in prison, and that's fine. If we're in prison and one of our wives come, and it's still through the glass, I don't even know if that's considered a conjugal visit. My understanding of conjugal visit is, hey, look, man, you two go in that closet. You get 7 minutes in heaven, and that's truly the conjugal visit.
I think there is like actual places you can get. They give you like a little trailer park room type area. I think that you can get conjugal depending what your crime was.
Right.
So I don't know about murderers or convicted murderers. I don't know what that is, but
And in this case, because he was a escape risk, convicted on the assault thing that he's fighting now, and now he's fighting his murder trial. No dice, you don't get conjugal visits. But with the right greasing and the right talking to the right guards, he got, not to be confused with the deodorant,
Right.
He got these sexy time visits with this Carol Ann Boone broad, and she ended up, like you said, just smuggling cash in her,
Vagine.
holiest of holies.
They actually, in the movie, they depicted it with Zac Efron and her. They were in like
in the
like
break
a
room.
cafeteria or
Yeah.
something. There's like a Coke machine there, and they're doing it like he's got her up against the machine, and the guard's sitting there on the other side of the machine, kind of like like looking around like nothing's going on, Yeah.
But in a lot of these movies that you see, I don't know if it's, in real life, but they do say if you grease the palms of a lot of these guys will look the other way, that you do what you got to do.
Sure.
Like, hey, there's nobody in the, the AV room or whatever, the air conditioning. You guys got 10 minutes in there. I'll look around for you. Give me $500 or $300, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I can believe that.
Some drugs too. If she's bringing in stuff, she might be bringing in drugs for the guards. You don't know.
Right.
It's a whole sub economy there.
Oh, I believe it.
It's
Yeah.
a whole nother, like an ecosystem. Like they
Totally.
yeah, they evolve and do whatever they need to do inside that little jail, man. It's a whole another world.
A whole other world I will never be in. So this guy,
we can all hope.
well,
never end.
look, I'm never going. Look, if I ever get to that point, I'm doing death by cop or I'm doing something. I am not built for prison. I've said it before. I am not made for prison.
What if it's like the one like Martha Stewart went to, like those like basically camps.
Oh, the
Like
country
upscale
club?
Yeah, like if you're not going to jail for
I'm
like
sorry.
murder. Say it's something that
If it's white collar prison, maybe I'd be okay with
like
that.
you smuggled a couple mil, thought you get away with it, opened a couple car washes,
Maybe.
funneled some money, and then they finally catch you and give you like 6 months in.
Laundering is not easy, let me tell you.
Well, look at Jordan Belfort or whatever. He did prison time, and like he was writing books and
Sure.
He
came out a better man.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what kind of crime.
Yeah,
not to say he was doing easy time in there. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I'm sure it depends on what crime you're doing, like you said.
They're not putting you for white collar in jail with like murderers, child molesters, things like that. They kind of
He was in there with Tommy Chong,
That's true. That's right.
Who is a celebrity?
not Bundy. I'm talking about Belfort. Yeah.
Belfort.
Yep. So using the hacksaw blade he'd gotten from the other inmate, he ended up sawing a hole in his cell's ceiling, and he did it slowly but surely over the course of days. Again, just a true Andy Dufresne style. He then spent a number of days practicing and exploring the crawl space above his and others' cells, like the adjoining cells. Like you just cut a hole in the ceiling and he just goes walking around in the crawl space.
See where it leads.
He's got the map. He just needed to know planning his escape. Again, Andy Dufresne's Shawshank Redemption, all real life type shit here.
It's like Zelda. You're up there going in different rooms and passages.
True.
Yeah.
Funny, I just read a thing they were saying about how you see these movies and these guys are in these crawl spaces, just like that Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
These crawl spaces seem huge. They're not that big.
No, they are not.
Like you have to get like Superman style and slide through like Slither. They're not very big at all. So I mean, that's a lot of determination to do that.
I'm claustrophobic. I wouldn't last.
I couldn't do it either. I'd freak out.
No
Not-
chance.
Not if you're trying to get out of jail though.
I might
Like you look at the ladder, you're like,
make an exception.
yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, after all of that hole in his ceiling and practicing, on December 30th, 1977, Ted Bundy managed to get away with his second escape. Now, this cat placed books under his blankets to make it look like he was sleeping. We've all, I'm sure, done it, pillows, whatever. He had books. He climbed through the ceiling, then went through the crawl space, and ended up in the office of the chief jailer, who was actually gone for that night. New Year's Eve
what are the
party.
chances?
Yeah.
What are the odds?
Whatever, some kind of party. He just knew it was going to happen. Got into that jailer's office just like Dufresne went into the warden's office. Ted Bundy got into this guy's office, changed into street clothes that he had found in the jailer's closet, and he walked right out the front door. Right out the front door.
You think Shawshank, they kind of based it on this? On like the Bundy escape, maybe? Kind of like used parts of it?
I wonder.
It sounds very...
I'm trying to think when different seasons from whence Shawshank came.
Well, what was his crime in that?
I'm trying to figure
Murder.
out when that book was written.
He was a murderer.
He
Well, he was...
convicted for murdering his wife, which he did not do.
Yeah, he really did
didn't
not
do.
do. He was innocent, just like everybody else in jail.
That's right.
Right.
It was his lawyer.
Mm.
So after being in the jailer's clothes and walking right out the front door, old Ted stole a car, which ended up breaking down. From there, he hitched a ride to Vail, Colorado, took a bus to Denver, Colorado, and then from Denver, he took a flight to Chicago.
Go Broncos.
Yeah. Planes, trains, murders, and automobiles.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Foreshadow.
in true, ooh, I like what you did there. So staff at the jail, it took them 17 hours to discover that Ted was actually missing. Like he was just, to be clear, they discovered that Ted was missing 17 hours after he left.
Ted, wake up. Hey, Ted. Okay, we'll leave you to sleep a little bit.
Ted, you sure do feel stiff.
Yeah.
Hey, Ted, get up. We're going to come in there and wake you up, buddy. Better. It's all right.
17 hours.
That's insane.
Ted, you missed lunch. Ted, are you getting up? Come on, Ted. We're coming in there. Hour 15, maybe.
We're coming in there with antibiotics if you're sick.
It's break time. It's like, well, we got break in an hour, so we'll be back after that.
Yeah,
Or if he
Jesus
had-
Christ.
Wonder he had that Bueller set up with like the
Yeah, like-
When the dummy comes out of the blankets.
yeah.
By the time by the time they had discovered that he was missing, he was already in Chicago. No chance. It's over.
Well, that's the part I early on, and I think it was in the second episode, I brought up something that would never happen nowadays with like getting a flight that easily, like with no ID,
Correct.
no nothing. Like he must have just went in there with the cash. I want a ticket to
Sure.
so and so, the Colorado or to Illinois, Chicago, and yeah, here you go. No ID, no nothing.
There's a great movie out there.
Go ahead.
There's a great movie out there called Airport. Dean Martin's in it. Great movie. The guy ends up blowing a hole in the plane while he's flying, and I would love for us to cover that movie, but
Airport.
if you watch Airport, you can see how, in fact, easy it was back in the day to just buy a ticket for an airplane.
O.J. Simpson was in that movie.
In Airport.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is airplane like a parody of Airport? That's what I was going to ask.
It's a parody of something.
No, I think you're thinking airplane, aren't you?
Am I?
Or- Yeah.
Oh, no, that wasn't O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson
That
was
was-
in the Towering Inferno.
Yeah, it was Kareem Abdul.
Kareem Abdul was in...
Kareem Abdul was in
Airplane.
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 Yeah, I'm sorry. O.J. Man, you got me confused.
But is Airport a real movie?
Airport is absolutely a real movie.
With Dean Martin.
With Dean Martin.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's like a serious movie, not like Airplane.
Not serious at all. It is I'm sorry, not like Airplane at all. It is a very serious movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is a drama.
Speaking of old movies, and I know we're in the middle of a true crime, but this is kind of like a true crime, is Juice Man, in the worst way, wants us to do this old movie called Arsenic and Old Lace. It's about a serial killer. Do you see it?
Yep.
I'm not aware of it. He said it's
Right.
great.
They run it on TCM. It's got to be on there like once a month.
Good movie. You like it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And
Juice
It is a classic.
from the man who brought you Night of the Leapas.
yeah, Juice. He's going to
The
redeem
Juice
him.
Man.
He said he's going to redeem himself with
This
this.
one is a definite redemption.
No, but real quick, as Dave just said, a
It's
friend of
never real quick.
No, real quick is not.
It isn't.
But Dave brought up something that a friend of mine at work showed me today. It was this lady. She was driving a Porsche, and it was like one of the newer ones.
A catamaran.
Yep.
A catamaran,
Porsche
exactly.
catamaran.
So they show her they were showing the cameras, like, they were taking a picture over here, picture over here. All of a sudden she loses control, flips it.
I saw that. She
Okay,
went
yes.
sideways.
So the lady and the passenger was dead. This lady actually got out, went home, like cleaned up whatever, got tickets to go to China. So now she is in China. They have people looking for her.
Oh, because she beat before they found out who's who. It didn't. I wonder how quickly that pings. Like, that you get caught. Like, they know whose car it is that they can put.
But
out
she was like down in a ditch or whatever, I guess, or something. They didn't see it right away, but they had the camera footage, and I guess nobody's really looking at it at that time because
Right.
at 3 a.m. or whatever. But did you see it? How it
I did. That was
So the
wild.
passenger was dead. She somehow crawled out, went home, cleaned up,
And
got
she's gone.
tickets, and she's gone.
Yeah. Damn.
But yeah,
I want to be ninja.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. That's,
yeah, that is. But Bundy back nowadays, he would have never made it on a plane.
No
You know
chance.
what I mean,
Well, nowadays it wouldn't be no 17 hours until they discover he was missing.
no.
But now we have our man Bundy, who is a man on the run. So from Chicago, he took a train to Ann Arbor, Michigan, stole a car from there and drove to Atlanta. And then from there, he took a bus to Tallahassee, Florida.
I'm a traveling man.
Dude, he is, man, for sure. But now, interestingly enough, despite not needing ID or whatever to get on an airplane, he tried getting a job, but he couldn't get one down there because he just wanted to start all over. Like, hey,
Right.
man, I'm not Ted Bundy. I'm Fred Burgundy. So sure, whatever. He couldn't get a job because they required ID.
And I can't believe that, because I know a guy that works at a place locally here. Now, I won't name the business because I'm sure they're not proud of it. But they were near where the state hospital is. And he would tell me that on numerous occasions, there were people that would walk out of the state hospital, go down to this place and get a job and be working for the day. They'd come down and be like, hey, did you see that? Oh, yeah, they're back there and receiving or whatever,
Sure.
and would start already. Like, and this isn't that long ago. I mean, I say to me, not long ago, 15, 20 years ago, maybe. I remember him telling me this story. I don't know if that was going on 15 or 20 years ago, but even so, if this is back in the 70s, it was definitely later than that going on around here.
So it depends on we'll bring this all
what
back
kind of
to
labor it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
What kind of job it is. Like a guy we know may or may not be involved in, let's say, the produce business.
Right.
So with that produce business, if you've got pickers or sorters or whatever, it's not unlike the same people who work what are called like migrant jobs
Right.
that are picking trees or doing, work in the fields or shit like that.
Right.
So these are people that they just come up here to work. That's it. Or this maybe the groups of people you may or may not see hanging out at a Home Depot sometimes, waiting for construction guys to drive by. Look, if there's work to be done, they'll do it.
He's probably showed up at a law firm, was trying to be a lawyer or something.
Let's just say that I know a guy that cuts grass and he loves receiving cash
Oh, yeah.
as payment because that's how he can pay his people who may or may not, number one, be able to speak English, let
Right.
alone have a driver's license.
Right. Be on the book. So, yeah, I guess you're right. Depends on the work.
Correct.
But
So
this-
this guy was I think he was trying to get a construction job. I think.
Oh.
But if it wasn't construction, given his background, I'm thinking Ted Bundy was looking to get some kind of highbrow job.
He was like,
He wouldn't be that dumb.
he's like, yeah, I work construction 15 years. I'm the best.
I'm the best. hirer.
RIZZO.
Sure.
Frank Rizzo.
He could do it. He could pull it off. If there was anyone who could change his personality, it was this guy.
Well, why weren't these guys trying to get back into Mexico? Because I think in the 70s was one of them places like coming out, they were kind of like a little iffy about, but when you wanted to go in, they were kind of like, you could walk right in pretty much.
Christ, yeah.
Yeah. They had like a guy checking to see if you had weapons on you, and you didn't really need ID or anything in the 70s.
No.
I would have hightailed it for the border, man.
Shit, yeah.
He probably would have been a bartender right now somewhere, like serving
He would have
drinks.
never got caught.
No, they don't care. They
That's
don't care
true.
about America.
Had he made his
Mexico.
way to Mexico, he would have never gotten caught. And I don't care how much of a gringo he is, he would have never gotten caught. It's a big country, man.
Right.
A lot of places. Oh, well. So since this dude didn't have a job, he ended up finding his way to getting money by swiping purses at local grocery stores. And that's just simply some lady leaves her purse in her basket while she goes over and she checks out the pineapples. He would just swipe her purse, walk out. Now he's got money.
Would you say that ninja thing? What you guys say?
I want to be ninja.
Yeah, he wanted to be ninja.
Yeah, dude, he definitely was some ninja shit with those purses.
Yeah.
Well, you can take the guy out of the crime scene, but you can't take the crime out of the guy, I guess. So while in Florida, old Ted and his murderous sprees continue. So 2 of an attempted 4 of these murders would occur on the same night in the same building on January 15th, 1978. Now, again, this is not but 2 weeks after he escaped from prison. This guy broke into a sorority house at Florida State University. We come across Margaret Bowman, 21-year-old student who was beaten in the head with a piece of firewood, then murdered by strangulation with her own pantyhose. We then come to Lisa Levy, another 20-year-old student who was beaten unconscious, murdered by strangulation, had her nipple torn off, her butt cheek was deeply bitten, and then he violated in her vag with a bottle of Aquanet.
It's horrible.
I think that bite was a bad move by Bundy.
Yeah.
But
It
okay,
was all bad news.
sure. Well, yeah. I wonder if they would be able to match that to dental records or something.
That's what I mean. Like
I
you
wonder.
might leave like a tooth mark.
I mean, deeply bitten. Yeah, that's more than just like a little hickey.
Isn't that a Great White song?
Once bitten, twice shy.
Oh,
There
well,
you go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
She was certainly once bitten. So one more time, took a hairspray can, jammed it up.
Ugh.
So those were 2 murders of an attempted 4, which means there were 2 left. First being Kathy Kleiner, who survived. She's a 21-year-old student, and she was beaten, had her jaw broken, and her cheek was cut wide open. But she did survive, as did Karen Chandler, another 21-year-old student who was beaten and concussed and had her fingers, right arm, and jaw shattered. Yet somehow she lived.
Yeah, I think there was just so much commotion, like people in the area, that he got scared and
I mean, it was a
Took off.
sorority house.
Right, yeah.
This guy got nuts, man, or just crazed. Just crazed. He just had that murderous tased.
Thing with it's weird though with these a lot of his victims. It says like beaten unconscious. I think if you don't get him right away, that kind of like scared. He doesn't like a fight. I don't think.
Right.
well, no, yeah,
Like the strangulation and stuff he likes, but he needs to have them like knocked out.
Yep. I see what you're
If
saying.
If it doesn't work in his favor right away, if there's a bit of a struggle, he tries to get the hell
He's
out of there.
Yeah.
He can't handle that. He needs that complete control. It sounds like.
For sure. Well, it's like Dazed and Confused, right? So that at the end when they're on the moon tower and he wants to start that fight, and he's like, oh, people after the first punch, people start to break stuff up. Well, it didn't go that way. He threw the first punch and then he got his ass kicked.
Yeah,
Right. Same thing.
same shit.
Well, after he got scared out of the sorority house at Florida State University, 8 blocks away, he broke into the apartment of Cheryl Thomas, who was a 21-year-old student. She ended up getting a dislocated shoulder, a fractured skull, and jaw. She was actually saved. She survived. She was saved by her next-door neighbors overhearing the commotion and calling the cops.
Yeah, so much like that other one. Just so much noise and
This is like that. I mean, this is that last ditch. This is my last run. I know it's over. Like the heat's on. I've been discovered at the sorority house. The neighbors called the cops, 8 blocks away at this apartment. This guy's just going for it. February 8th, 1978. Not but 3 weeks later, he comes across Kimberly Leach. She's a 12-year-old student from Lake City, Florida. Now, he abducted her in a stolen FSU van. She was found 7 weeks later in the Suwannee River State Park. She'd been raped, had her throat cut, and her genitals mutilated.
yeah, this one was obviously rough because of the age. I remember the investigating officer that actually found the body said in all the years on the force, that was the first time he cried, like when he came across the body. I mean, not to say that when a girl was 18, 19, 20, that it's still not horrible, just being that this girl was 12
So
years
young and
old. And
innocent.
it's just like, I mean, just how sick and depraved this guy was,
So every one of these, not every, but so many of these so far were, college girls or whatever, or at least in their teens. How did he get to this 12-year-old? Like, why? How would this one come across his radar? Just doesn't seem like his
MO.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe he was just desperate for
the kill.
Yeah.
Bloodlust, as it were. I don't know. Maybe.
Because I think we talked earlier, Matt, you said on the one that he made a comment on one of the
he
girls
said
earlier that
one of the
wasn't
girls wasn't. He said that was a mistake.
his
So
thing.
that's I don't know how a 12-year-old.
Came
It was
in
like the other one was like a 13-year-old, correct?
Yeah, it was around
Yeah.
that age, but it definitely wasn't much older than 13.
Yeah,
I think it was
she was
earlier
around
on.
13.
But he had made comments that like that wasn't his
Yeah,
thing.
the young
So
girl
he-
was a mistake.
It's a good point. Like, what changed for him? Was it just desperation? Like, I just need to kill? Or?
There's been a lot of talking, like, so if you read into this about some of these stories where they say he may have had somebody working with him.
Right.
Oh,
I mean,
accomplice.
Right.
an accomplice to the stuff that he was into.
It could be.
Well, old Ted wasn't so smart when it came to staying away from the cops, trying to keep a low profile. 1 week later, on February 15th, 1978, old Ted was pulled over by a Pensacola police officer driving a stolen car. Like, dude, I cannot tell you this over and over and over again enough. If you're going to break the law, just do them one at a time. Just one at a time.
And I'm pretty sure it was another Volkswagen Bug again. At least that's how they
described
it in, or in the documentaries and all that. It's so
he knew how they worked.
I guess he knew how they worked. Maybe he knew how to hotwire them. Maybe I think that one, the keys might have been in it, but he was just maybe comfortable with it. But it's like
He's seen it, caught his eyes. Like, wait, wait, keys still in here.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
but just seems odd that you would keep going back to that car. I guess, but
What Zap said, if you're rolling the dice, if you're wanted for murder,
Come on,
Right.
you
man.
wouldn't take a stolen car.
No.
Like, just stay on foot, man. Walk to where you need to go. You'll
That's
get there.
right. And
Or
drive the speed limit.
Yeah, take a train, man.
There you go. Like the hobos.
Yeah, anybody will you can take a Greyhound. Nobody checks anything on those.
Hell no.
Just hop a Greyhound, man.
mm-hmm.
Well, this guy he got pulled over. He ended up getting into a fight with the officer. Like, he gets out of the car and he's going to, get, I don't know, handcuffed or, turn around, let me check your pockets, whatever. He's getting frisked. Gets into a scuffle with the officer and runs. Like he kicks him in the knee or some shit and runs away.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Officer Friendly didn't like that. So officer chases and officer tackles and officer arrests Ted Bundy.
Finally, yeah.
Finally. So they search his car. Of course. What do they find? 21 stolen credit cards. Now, this is back in the day when you actually had the carbon copy swipe
Yeah.
that shit. 21 credit cards. 3 chicks' student IDs. No idea why he kept those. A pair of sunglasses. A pair of plaid pants. And a television set. I mean, sure, that makes sense.
Well, I know they said that the credit cards he got from like a bar near the FSU university on the campus. Some there. He must have been at the bar hanging out, like swiping the cards off the.
Or like going behind and grabbing from behind the.
I don't know.
I don't know if they held cards.
I don't know that they held cards, but I don't know if the people had cards out or if he somehow got in their purses and got them. I don't know if. Yeah, I don't know how he was able to get hold of them, but that's where they said he got them all from that bar. People reported them stolen. Like, hey, my cards are missing, and they're all at this bar hanging out.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't think they used the credit cards that heavily.
back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Mostly cash though, right?
For damn sure.
You would think.
Maybe I would have thought he would have gotten those cards from the purses he swiped from the grocery stores.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, if you say, I mean, I trust you.
Yeah.
What if kids today, because if their kids are going to I guess the malls really aren't as big as they were, but there's still some malls out there. But I guess the mom will give you a credit card to the kid to go shopping. You're not giving
Venmo or
a couple
Google
$100
Pay
cash.
Apple
Like
Pay
here's two Hondo. Go enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Side story, since you mentioned malls, our very own Harrisburg East Mall
Mm-hmm.
has been deemed one of the there's a term
Shittiest places.
Well, yeah. There's
in PA.
a term for it, and it's basically available space versus what's leased.
Mm-hmm.
Harrisburg East Mall, now the Harrisburg Mall,
Harrisburg Mall, yeah.
is like the lowest on the totem pole, like, I don't know, nationwide
Colonial Park Mall got to be up there too.
for available space versus what's leased.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So that Harrisburg East Mall is a 995,000 square foot mall.
Wow.
That's insane.
I thought there was plans to
They're ripping it down.
yeah, that's what I thought.
They're going to rip the whole goddamn thing down with the exception of Bass Pro. That's
Mhm.
going to stay there. And it's just going to be some other industrial park or some shit.
Yeah, Bass Pro does well around here.
For damn sure.
It'll probably be. They'll probably turn into like a car dealership.
I wouldn't be surprised if they turn it into an Amazon distribution center or some kind of a Chewy.
Or a
Distrib-
Netflix.
A Netflix, you say?
Yeah.
Oh,
More to come on that.
More to come.
They should turn it into a Dave and Buster's, like a huge.
They
one.
tried to do that.
like go karts and stuff.
They were going to do that and it fell through.
That's a shame.
It was a big amusement or like that type place, Dave and Buster's, and it didn't go through.
P.S. Pound for pound, look, I've been to a lot of movie theaters. The movie theater at the Harrisburg East Mall, the most recent iteration,
Great Escape.
The Great Escape, by far and away my favorite movie theater of all time.
It was a nice
Yeah, it
one.
was nice.
Loved that theater, man.
Yeah, because you parked right there too. You parked right underneath. You went up the escalator and you right in the theater. It was nice.
It was
Yeah.
genius the way it was built, the way it was laid out. Like when you walked in, you were at the top and you had no choice but to walk down.
Yeah,
It was great. All of those theaters were
Like you're saying,
awesome.
going through the line where you get your popcorn.
Yep.
And all, yeah, it's not like you could you could get away from it. It's like right there.
It's right there. Loved it. I
Better
miss
than-
it dearly.
Better than the East 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Paul Meyer Theater. That's where it's at.
The East 5.
Yeah, East 5.
Which
Paradise Alley.
Which later became Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Oh, Toys R Us.
Yep.
They're trying to bring those back, I heard.
Yep.
There's like a couple left.
Yep.
Kind of like a Blockbuster.
Ooh. Or foreshadow.
Foreshadow, yeah.
So this guy, in June, he's caught. So in June of 1979, his trial begins. Not surprisingly, he continued to claim his innocence. And once again, the news ate it up. People still believed it. People still believed that there was some massive conspiracy against this one guy. And this is just him saying, "Oh, it's everybody. Everybody's against me. I'm just this one guy trying to make my way here." And it's dirty cops, or it's circumstantial evidence, or whatever.
When he got to Florida, they weren't fucking around down there.
No,
They don't. Florida. Florida's not a place you want to. Florida and Texas, if you want to commit crimes, or Arizona now too.
thank you, Governor DeSantis.
Stay out of those. Stay out of those states. What do you think about that? Do you think DeSantis, Trump, those two?
I don't know. I think it's too early. I know
Too
I know what's going to happen on your ticket, though, and we'll get to. That's a deep states conspiracy for that. I'm happy to get into that one.
What, Michelle?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You heard that too?
I know that's going to happen.
Biden's going to say he's unfit, say he's unfit, and give it to Michelle.
It'll be after the primary.
Oh
and,
yeah, it has to be.
And the party has to be the one to choose it. You don't have time for another primary.
You're listening to too much Fox Radio.
So with only a couple of months to spare, just trust. You'll see it happen.
It'll be The Rock.
Yeah, I think The Rock run for president.
That would be.
I heard that one.
If you smell what the prez is cooking.
That's right.
Rock he might.
He would win. That's what
that's what he's saying.
Look, man, if Arnold Schwarzenegger can become the governor of California, I think Dwayne Johnson could become the president of the United States.
Remember Arnold had all that stuff like, you kids are fat.
Yeah.
You need to work out every day.
Yeah.
He couldn't get away with that now.
No.
The PC police would crush him.
What was that? You could get like a coin or something, like the president's coin for fitness. I remember it was crazy.
Ooh, it's like a kid's gold medal for doing push-ups and sit-ups. We did that at McDevitt. I think we did.
No, that was when we were in grade school.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like in 6th grade, or when was Arnold in? It had to have been like the mid 80s, early 90s.
No, it was after that.
It was definitely
it?
after. Oh,
Yeah.
So
for
then
sure.
was
he
it
was
at
still doing
McDevitt?
Terminator and shit back then.
Yeah. But we did something when we were when we were in high school that it was some kind of fitness something.
I thought that was like Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan did that for the
Reagan had
fitness
Nancy
thing.
and
Was it what?
Yeah, that was like a fitness thing. I remember that.
I know
Yeah.
it wasn't the Captain America one because that didn't exist at the time.
No, he's right. It was Ronald Reagan that like this thing where you could get the president's medal for fitness, and they would, if you could do like 35 push-ups, 60 sit-ups, whatever, in like 3 minutes. But you had to like, and like every gym class for like, I remember for a whole year we like did that
Yeah.
Yeah, I just snuck out and had a cigarette.
in 5th grade.
In 5th grade, yeah.
Zap in his uniform shirt has like a pack of cigs
up
rolled
his
up.
cigarettes.
Dude, that would be awesome. That would have been fantastic. All right.
That'd make a cool little Simpsons episode.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I think there were. I could have sworn there were iterations of Nelson where he had packs of
Yeah, he
cigarettes
did.
wrapped up in his.
He did.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and P.S. I did not sneak out that cigarettes.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
Lest anyone think.
Although, kids out there, you're never too young to start. So this guy again continued to claim his innocence. The media ate it up. In fact, he actually considered taking a deal at one point, which he could then later appeal or file for acquittal. He said, "Forget it. I'm going to trial. I got everything on my side."
Yep, I'm innocent. I didn't
That's
do
right.
anything.
That's
I
right.
won't take no deal. I think the deal was the death sentence. They were like, we won't give you the death
Yeah,
sentence.
they said we'll give you life in prison
Yeah.
without, no death penalty.
Without chance of a death penalty.
And the day of the trial, his defense didn't even know. When they went in, he basically got up and had a speech. He was like, this guy doesn't believe I'm innocent. I can't have him defending me, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I'll defend myself,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he kicked his defense.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah.
No,
That typically does not work. Not for something as grand and as great as this.
right.
Well, not surprisingly, he went to trial and he lost. The jury deliberated for 7 hours. He ended up being found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. That's the murders of Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy. 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder of Kathy Kleiner, Karen Chandler, and Cheryl Thomas, and 2 counts of burglary. Now, if you weren't keeping score here, those 5 were what went down in Florida. That was everything that went down in Florida. He killed 3, including the 12-year-old, and then 2 got away. All right. He got 2 death sentences as a result.
And that initially, when he was going in, when they were putting him on trial, I don't know if it was the prosecutor from Florida. I don't even remember who the guy was, but in the movie, they depict this guy bringing Bundy out in front of all the media and basically reading him his
rights.
Well, not the rights, but what do you call that? Like when you're basically
you're
being, telling him what he's going to be charged,
what you're being convicted of,
not convicted of, but what they're charging him with.
Yes, charges.
And they did this in front of like all the media's there, and Bundy's walking around like, oh, like this is a big spectacle. Of course you're going to do this. In the movie, they're showing that.
It's
and
real life.
Zac Efron was doing it, and I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, that's pretty wild, And then they actually show the real raw footage, and it's identical.
Jesus.
A lot of the things in that movie, they did do pretty much spot on word for word as it was in real life. But in Florida, like I said, they didn't fuck around. They brought this guy out, and they're like, we're going to get you. You're going down. You know what I mean?
The thing was,
there was no lax shit like like in Colorado.
Yeah, wasn't this the first like trial that was on? Like they had the television in the they were recording this. They were playing it on the news. Like
this is the first OJ?
Yeah, this was like the first OJ trial where they were filming everything. Like Florida was like, you know what? You all can see what's going on here because we're going to get this guy.
It was the first televised, I think.
Televised, yeah.
There you go. And I'll take this opportunity. I messed up. That was the first trial had those first 5. I was mistaken. There were 6 victims.
Victims, okay.
And the 6th was the 12-year-old, because in December of 1979, he went up for a second trial. This for the 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. Once again, he lost. But amazingly, while in court, this is during his trial, he proposed to his girlfriend and ended up getting married to Carol Ann Boone.
Yeah, there was some kind of weird law, and he knew laws that if you propose in front of a judge and jury, I guess
in Florida, it's legal. It's considered
so he would just do shit because he was
considered a bonded matrimony.
Yeah,
but they said he did that also, so she wouldn't be able to testify against him.
Yeah,
because your spouse can't.
That's smart too. Yeah, I didn't think.
But it also looked good on TV. Because everybody was like, oh, this is a real like nice guy.
Oh,
like,
that honey dripper. He's such a nice guy. He loves that woman. I wonder how many chicks were watching that or saw that on the news and just thought, that's so sweet.
Well, they were interviewing a lot of women like after
that were into
like they were just saying, I hope he gets off. Like I would date him. He's so dreamy and stuff like really 70s type.
Yeah, he couldn't. Yeah, they were like looking at him. I just can't believe.
He would do something like that.
There was a lot of that shit. Like I said, when you're good looking. Not that even this
but
guy
he wasn't even that good.
He wasn't even that good looking.
He wasn't even that good looking.
Even a little bit good looking is amazing what you can get away with.
But he had he had that personality to go along with like I guess a lot of women are turned on by that. It sounds like crazy, but there's like a whole thing
being like a murderer and stuff. You talking about
like somebody
violent?
In jail, violent, dangerous.
Yeah. Bad boy.
Yeah,
the worst.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. Definitely the baddest of bad boys.
But they said the judge too in this case. We might get to his name then, but he was very impressed with Bundy at times. Like
was it Judge Wapner?
No.
Yeah,
Judge
Rusty.
Judy.
Was it Judge Ito?
Rusty.
It was not Ito either.
Or Alito. Ito.
Yeah, Judge Ito.
Who was Alito?
Yeah.
Ito
was OJ.
Ito was OJ. Alito is the guy that's currently on the United States Supreme Court.
But if you watch the movie with Zac Efron, it's called Viciously Evil, Vile, whatever. I forget what even the name of it is, but that was actually taken from the judge at the end of the trial. Like Matt was saying, he respected Bundy in a way, kind of in a weird way. He said to him, like, young man, you're a bright young man. It's. He
said, "What a waste."
I would have, a waste. I would have loved to have you
work for me,
work in my, work cases in front of me, blah blah blah, and you just went the wrong way, partner, and that was that.
He sure did.
Yeah.
Because on February 10th, 1980. Old Ted Bundy received a 3rd death sentence.
Jeez.
So for damn sure, this guy is now in prison. Lo and behold, not but a year and a half or so later, on October 24th, 1982, Carol Ann Boone, that chick he'd married in court, gave birth to Rose Bundy. Oh, this is another situation for conjugal visits that were, this dude's on death row. You don't get to have sex anymore.
I read that real quick and I thought her last name was at Rose Bundy Conjugals. Like the way I read that, because how it's written on there, I was like, that's a weird last name.
Yeah. So from the conjugal's perspective, that's just a note to self that this was another one of those situations where he greased the right palms and he got himself some, sexy times.
Yeah.
He was just going behind the vending machine.
Yeah.
That's what they showed in the movie, man.
Yeah. And like you said, that movie was pretty much, they followed a lot.
I mean, a little bit. When we get into the fun facts, I got a couple thoughts I wanted to ask you guys, but.
Sure. Well, all right. Well, let's get there. So, not surprisingly, while in prison, he certainly attempted appeals for a number of years. I mean, you're going to exhaust that legal system as much as you can. In July of 1984, 2 hacksaw blades were found in his cell. He'd actually sawed through one of the bars in his cell window and he glued it back in place. Okay, sure, why not?
Right.
After additional appeals and a number of execution postponements, Ted Bundy was executed in the electric chair on January 24th, 1989 at 7:16 a.m. His last words were to his attorney and to a Methodist minister. They were, "Jim and Fred, I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends." Hundreds of people cheered, danced, and actually sang outside of the prison while he was being executed. Like they were that happy. In the end, he was cremated in Gainesville, Florida. His ashes were scattered in the Cascade Mountains of Washington State.
Yeah, so that crowd of people that were out there, a lot of them were like Florida State college students at the time that in '89 were like 20 years old. Like
Sure.
They weren't, they were there. It was almost like a party. I mean, not to say that they weren't happy to see the guy die, but they were like 9, 10 years old when these murders were going down. But they were just more there, almost like it was like
A big tailgate.
like before they had like Burning Man, no pun intended. They were there like almost like a big party, you know what I mean? Like, oh, let's
Sure.
get together, we're gonna fry. They had T-shirts made up like Fry Ted Fry and all that, and they were selling stuff.
There were a bunch of like college students.
That's what I said. Yeah, they were there basically almost for the spectacle of it, But there were people obviously that were there that probably had a vested interest in it, maybe families of the people and stuff. But he was trying his hardest up until the end to appeal. And the one lady that I guess had gotten a stay. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, a stay of execution.
Stay of execution. They were trying again here on this last one to get it postponed, but they couldn't. Yeah, there was no way.
No.
It was time to like get rid of this guy. Basically, they're like, we exhausted everything. He then changed a lot of his tune on basically, oh, I didn't do any of this. None of this is true. To all of a sudden now he's like confessing this stuff.
Yep.
Well, that's where they said, he thought he could maintain his stay of execution longer. And then they started bringing him these things, telling him people, like we talked about this a little bit before, that people needed closure and we could make this happen for you. You just got to tell us, did you do this? Did you do this? He was saying yes, yes, yes to everything. So they actually said at the end, he was probably about 10 to 12 murders. They said that they don't think the 30 was reasonable.
Well, I've heard upwards of 100. Like, and it's just all over the place. Like what do you believe? What could be like of those Polaroids? Like, do we know like which girls and like,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Oh, for damn sure.
So how many of them do you know? Do you have a number? Was it like,
It's at least 8.
okay. So that's 8 for sure. But of the 30, like, I wonder how many, like Matt, you brought up in a previous episode with DNA, like, can they go back and extract any DNA from any of these?
At this point, why bother?
Right. But just the tie.
The families have
Sure.
closure.
That's the whole. I think it's mainly for closure. Back then was a lot of things. I mean, it sounds weird, but we talk about this. I think this stuff still goes on like every day, and you don't hear about it a lot because these bodies just go missing.
Sure.
And there's no way to like pin it on somebody. I think there's like people out there that just get bored one day, or like maybe with a lot of these like drug addicts, prostitutes, a lot of these people go missing all the time. You don't
Drug
hear
addicts,
anything.
homeless people, the bums and hookers. They're going to die like crazy.
Especially go like upstate or in a lot of places like towards Alaska and things like in Canada, around in California, even like here in Philly or Baltimore, there's a lot of places that were just like a lot of like prostitutes and drug addicts. And if a guy picks one of these women up or men or whatever, they go missing. Nobody's looking for them, and they could be in the bottom of the ocean. They could be like somewhere where people are just dumping people.
Sure.
You don't know these places, and it's just,
You don't even know.
You don't know.
I mean, a lot of this happens a lot. And I think you have a list of these names, and if they can get that Bundy saying he did it, and they're like, look, this was the guy, he's a murderer, he's crazy. These people are like, wow, okay, we got him. He fried.
And
We're
it's good enough. So, Zab, you got some notes here. It says blunt objects, no firearms, widespread area. What do you
Yeah,
mean
so
by
I was looking at, going through this and pulling all this together. I'm trying to piece together like the consistency of his victims.
Oh, how he went about it.
So not unlike Jack the Ripper, this guy had consistency relative to his victims. So he would consistently use blunt objects to knock them out and then do whatever he wanted to do, like strangle, and then take their lives, then rape them, or rape while strangling. But it was always knocking out and almost always included strangling. Never used firearms. He hated firearms because it draws attention.
Yeah, the shot.
The loud noise, yeah.
Plus, it's not as intimate as the up close and personal. Like there's a difference between, firing from dozens of feet away and killing somebody, sniping at somebody versus actually
up close
and killing them. And he did this over a widespread area. Like he started in Washington, then he moved to Utah, then he went to Colorado, then he was in Idaho. Like he was just all over the place. I think that was just okay, I've exhausted this. They're on my tail now. I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to go here. But it was always clusters. It wasn't just like one-offs. It was clusters.
Right.
I don't know. And I also had taken notice that all these were white chicks. They were all between the age, with the exception of the one.
The 12-year-old.
His preferred range was like mid-teens, like 15 to 25, and they were all strangers. Like he wouldn't kill people he knew.
And they were all brunette seamed, and they all had that hair parted down the middle.
Like Diane, his original girlfriend. Many have hypothesized that he killed those particular women because of that Diane chick.
That the one that got away. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, the one that dumped him first, but then he went back with her. Then he dumped her, like just as that satisfaction. I don't know, but many reject that hypothesis as well.
Right. So Matt, during this whole, I shouldn't say the whole story, but early on in part 1 and stuff, you kind of were playing devil's advocate, kind of like, do we really know he did like these crimes and all that? And watching that movie, which I know you watch more than just the movie and in your research and stuff, but watching that Zac Efron movie, the way they filmed that movie and the way it's presented to you, almost, if you didn't know anything about Ted Bundy and you watched that movie, they almost let you believe the whole way through the movie that he's innocent, or maybe that he didn't do anything. They don't show him doing any murders. They don't. So I could see where watching that movie, maybe somebody would get ideas that like, oh, did he really do any of this? The only evidence that you have is near the end. He writes that, which I don't want to give anything away. If you didn't see the movie, it's not like you don't know his story. You're listening to the podcast. But where did you come up with that angle that you just think like where? No, what in the story or what in all this? Is it just because of the lack of DNA evidence and all that you have doubt on some of these?
No, I know he was a murderer, and I know like a lot of these murders were committed by him, and people think like what's wrong with the guy. But interesting enough, Zap has here on the notes, he has that William Hagmaier guy from the FBI.
Right.
I think you were about to talk about him.
No, it's just there for, whatever. These reference. Are just, I had these typed out just so I don't forget them.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you had that on there, because I went in this movie, No Man of God, with Elijah Wood. And it's about,
I didn't see that one. Yeah.
And it's very interesting because again, it's not showing like many of the murders or anything like that. It's kind of just getting into Bundy's persona. And it was about like in the late 1970s, it was proposed that understanding psychological minds of violent killers, investigators could be more effective, to combat like these rapists, these serial killers, people like that. So they called it profiling. And this guy in 1984, President Reagan, he started the National Center for the Analysis of Violent Crime, and it contained full-time profiler positions. This Hagmaier guy was one of the original 5 that they picked.
God bless you, Ronald Reagan.
Exactly. Like the guy, we brought him up earlier with the fitness.
When do you stop giving Saint Ron?
Right. He should be sainthood.
God bless you.
He wasn't Catholic though. What was he, like Protestant?
He was
an actor,
the greatest man
alive
this country has ever seen.
But I'm saying, can we make him a saint in the Catholic Church, even though he wasn't?
Yeah, you could.
We should do that.
I would make that appeal to the Pope today. If I gave a shit about the current Pope. That guy is awful.
Not a fan.
That guy.
He's no John Paul.
Correct.
But this Bill Hagmaier guy, he was a special agent. He was from Pittsburgh and actually a Slippery Rock University graduate.
Oh, we know somebody like that.
Yeah. So he was from PA, and that's one thing that he kind of got close to Bundy with. Bundy's like, why a guy from PA? Like, he's like, you must be smart. Because, Slippery Rock. He's like, tell me more about that. So they kind of became friends. He was working with Hagmaier a lot. And Bundy was giving him some stuff on the Green River Killer.
Yeah,
and
I saw
he was,
that.
Yeah, he was profiling him and stuff. And Hagmeyer was like, "You're pretty good. Like, you got this to a T." And the thing that was like so crazy, the two became like really good friends. And for coming up with Hagmeyer had something to do directly with the death of Bundy, because during this, a group of psychologists from Florida interviewed Bundy. They found him sane. And then a group for the defendant side found him insane. So Hagmeyer, being a special agent to this case, he was the one that they came to and said, "I know you have a relationship with Bundy. Is he nuts? Or is he sane? Does he know what he's doing?" And Hagmeyer said he's probably one of the most sanest people you ever meet.
He just had a thing for murder. And
Yeah.
all that.
And that was what Hagmeyer is saying is one of the scariest things about people like this is it's just that people can just be a regular person, have family, go to church, have friends, be the most normal person in the world, and they just get an itch.
That's pretty smart for being a guy from Family Guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, is there a guy in Family Guy named that?
Yeah, giggity giggity.
Oh, that's right.
That's,
Quagmire.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, Quagmire. I forgot about him.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's a good reference.
So what I had noted here is during those Hagmeyer interviews that this is where old Ted would come out, and he actually did. He talked about what he would do with the corpses like afterwards. So he would revisit them. Like this is his special spot.
Right.
Like there's a special place in my heart for this woman that I murdered and buried or put in the woods here. He would go back and have sex with their corpses until the rot until it would get so
Pungent.
stinky that he couldn't do it anymore. He would go back to the dead corpse. He would put makeup on them. There was one he actually would wash and shampoo her hair. That was Laura Amy.
Wow.
And he had collected 12 heads.
Damn.
12.
Now, were these weren't found? These were just from his accounts.
Well, they found, if I without even looking back in my notes, I'm pretty sure I'd mentioned they found 4 of them.
Okay.
Pretty sure. In my notes, again, there's so much to this guy. I'm sure I missed something somewhere. But again, he claims he took 12 heads.
And also, I saw here, Zap, you had written about how he never took responsibility, and the grandfather, the single mother, like blaming on everybody, and the porno stuff that he kind of blamed it on.
Yep.
And we were talking about that outside before we started recording, but there was some magazines he was into as a kid, I guess, that they kind of glamorized true crime, had like women on the front of the magazine.
Sure, like detective noir stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. And
like kidnapping and murder.
And he, I guess, attached those images to like arousal. And I think Ed Gein, we were talking about, had a similar.
Sure.
But there's also rumors that his grandfather had a porn stash and that he found that. And
Who's
porn? But a lot of
what
guys.
old man doesn't have a porn stash?
Yeah, that's it.
For Christ's sake, I could open up my phone right now.
Yeah.
Well, he said that in an interview before he was put to death. They had a guy come in from a church.
Well, he was trying to get that them to
that's
back him, you know.
And that's when he started saying all this stuff about like having sex with rotting corpses and stuff to make him sound as crazy as he could sound. So they'd be like, dude,
necrophilia, yeah.
Dude, I'm nuts. Like, I'm crazy. And that's where this Hagmeyer guy's, this guy's full of shit. Like, he did it because he enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah, that's just.
But then, like, who, like Dave said, could have been 30 murders, could have been 100, could have been 200. We don't know.
Who knows?
No way to know.
You don't even know. Now, it is interesting that, Matt, you would mention that he's just as crazy. He does what he wants. Indeed, in Mashad and some Ainsworth interviews, he had mentioned the things like he had likened it to stealing. Like, so he would shoplift. He took those chicks' purses, burglary, robbery. I mean, he needed money at some point. For him, it was a matter of this killing. It was a matter of possession. Like, I take what I want.
Right.
Like that's his motivation, is just, that's it.
Narcissism.
It becomes his whole life, and the same reason for keeping the remains, like burying the remains. Like, well, I got this. Like I took what I want. I'm not going to just give it away,
right,
or let it be found. I'm going to bury it, and I'm going to come back to it, and I'm going to dig it up, and I'm going to have sex with it, and I'm going to wash the hair, and I'm going to put makeup on it. This guy was a creepy dude.
Like Silence of the Lambs. He's like makeup. He's like dancing.
Yeah. I mean, it was Buffalo Bill. Yeah.
It took the longest time for him to ultimately, to get to where he was, where he concluded to saying, well, yeah, I confess I did this, that, and the other thing. For him, it goes back to that, not unlike his grandparents, that there was a stigma of guilt. Like, he did not want to take responsibility. Like he was very, very, very concerned about his appearance. And that's not just physically, I'm saying like in society, there's this stigma, right? Like I don't want, as the grandfather, well, I don't want my daughter being a single mother here.
Right.
I'm just going to call Ted my own kid and just pretend like he is, or tell people that he is. That rolled down to Ted. Like, I don't want to be looked at as a murderer. I can't let people know that I'm a psychopath.
Right. Yeah. You just kind of hide it. And that's how it was with mental illness and a lot of things back in the day. Like you just had to hide everything and pretend like nothing's wrong and just put on this this front, like, oh, everything's fine. Like,
this guy hit it so well. And I mean, so well that it, again, once he finally confessed to the 30, the all in total of 30, that is what finally led to convince Carol Ann Boone
that maybe he's guilty.
Maybe he's guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, until he did not, prior to that, she still believed and praised for his innocence.
And I was hoping my son would be here. He was telling me, he said, oh, you're doing Ted Bundy. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, did you hear that story about the hikers? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he told me this story. I looked it up, and sure enough, there's stuff out there on this. So I guess he had told an investigator or maybe somebody in there interviewing him that the closest he ever got to being caught before the end here, when he did finally get caught, he was, I guess, moving a body in Utah out in the woods. And these hikers came along, a guy and a girl, a couple, and it was dark, like pitch black out, probably a little bit of moonlight like you had referenced, though, enough that you could kind of see. And he ran off in the bushes and left the body there. Well, the couple walked and stepped over the body and tripped. The guy's feet, I guess, kind of stumbled on it, and he got freaked out and grabbed her by the hand and said, let's get out of here. Something's not right. He thought maybe it was an animal or whatever. And they took off. But Ted was like a couple feet away in the bushes, like watching all this.
Like he was dragging a body across a path.
Yeah, he was looking to, like, I guess, get rid of the body.
Jesus Christ.
And I don't know what the couple was doing out at night like that, hiking. I don't know if they were at a nearby campsite. But, yeah. So that story there, if you go out on Reddit and different sites and stuff, there's people that talk about that. Yeah.
So again, thinking back to like when we were talking about like the mafia and stuff like that, like these guys would get together and maybe like 2 murders a night, sometimes,
like
whatever. And they were considered like
serial killers.
Serial killers are crazy because they were like ordered to do it, or is that just something he did? Or
these guys, mafia guys, can't be considered serial killers because it's not like they look. I'm thinking a serial killer has some sort of internal motivation, like a satisfaction. Mafia guys are just doing it for their job.
Yeah, there's something that the way the FBI, if you look it up, it says
like categorizes them.
So many murders within a certain amount of time with a cooling off period and all that. With the mafia, it's just like, this guy, he's doing this, boom, but you might not have any action for 6 months.
I don't understand why they don't think of like their minds being the same as what you would think like a.
Or they're murderers.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They're told to do it. It's part of their job.
Right.
Yes, but like, what if like serial killers are thinking of like as kind of like their hobby, like that's
like their job.
Not their job. It's just like something they do.
Like hunting.
Like hunting, yeah, for fun.
To them, that's what they think of it as.
I would take it a step further. Even if they enjoyed their jobs, I can't say that anybody in the mafioso could be considered a serial killer because there is something. Again, it's their job versus like by job, like they're told to do it.
Yeah, like or else we're going to kill you.
They're
you
they're not
kill
doing
these
it
people
on their own.
Yeah.
Well, there's that one guy that you and I covered, Matt, and this is before
that Russian cat.
Actually, if they do it on their own, they get killed.
Right. There was a guy that Matt, now you brought the story up when we first started the podcast, the Gemini method. And that guy was, I forget his name now, but it was called the Gemini method. And it was because of the Gemini Lounge. Now, this guy supposedly really enjoyed the murder and dismemberment.
Yeah, hanging people up in his
almost like he was
shower.
This guy was just like, from the people that were around him, I guess, was kind of into it. So maybe for somebody like that, like he had those psychological, like almost enjoyed that, but who's to say? I think with the mob, it's just more, like he said, necessity.
Yeah. It's a job.
Hey guys, can you wrap it up?
Hey, it's about that time. Actually, she really did come down this time.
She did.
She was actually, we should have had her do it live.
She was right there.
She came down, got a bag of chips.
And rolled out.
A soda pop.
Man, her timing is perfect.
There is a fourth mic. She came over and yelled into
She's
it.
always with us in spirit.
That's
We'll get her there for the 4th part of Dahmer.
Right.
The golden
Bundy.
years.
Bundy, yeah.
Whatever.
Dahmer. We're coming back one more
We're
Dahmer.
going back another Dahmer.
We got
Quagmire.
an update.
Who cares?
All of these guys.
Yeah.
So this was a good one.
I definitely I shouldn't say enjoyed. It's horrible, the things that happen, but it's history and it's what happened.
It was an action-packed 3-part in your face, pile drive to the face podcast.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think we could have done a 5-parter on this guy.
I mean, you could take this one on and on. Matt's got a sketch.
I got a sketch just like how they identified him. That's why his girlfriend was confused.
5 Nights at Bundy's.
5 Nights at Bundy's. Yeah.
That's on Peacock.
Peacock. Yeah. We actually, friend of the show, Snowman, his sister's in that movie.
Oh.
And hope to have her on here at some point to talk to her, maybe on the Vintage Cinema. But
She played the chicken?
yeah, the chicken part.
Informer.
Yeah. Yep. Informer.
Yeah.
Licky Boom Boom Down. Yeah. That's a good jam.
Yep.
But yeah, Zap, I appreciate you writing up everything, Matt.
Hey, I appreciate
all your notes and everything you had there.
all of you.
Your sketches. Yeah, you guys did a lot of good work on that.
Yeah, good job, guys. It's fantastic.
Matt, I appreciate your sketches.
They're wonderful.
His notes and his sketches, yeah. That's a pretty good sketch. You should get a job doing that.
I should.
Sketch artist.
I'm a professional.
But
in my spare time.
I'm not sure what True Crime we'll be back with next week, but hopefully a good one. This should be coming out right around Thanksgiving. So I think this is the Monday of Thanksgiving week. So
Yeah.
maybe a surprise coming up this week. We don't
Maybe
know. Yeah.
if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. Definitely don't forget to find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Dirty Basement. And like I say at the end of every episode, we work hard on this. Leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, on Apple. You can leave a written review. We do this for free. Leave us a good review. Helps us out a lot. And I guess that's it. You guys got anything else?
That's all I got. I'm all bundied up.
No, thank you for listening.
So we'll catch you where?
Oh, on the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.